So guys, the crypto markets are still trading sideways. I've been keeping you guys updated with the key events that are happening this week, the price action, and everything you need to be aware of. But today, I want to talk about exactly the 4 brutal truths about investing and why most people investing in crypto and investing in general are going to fail. This comes down to multiple things: understanding how liquidity moves, understanding the 4-year cycle, understanding how to be patient throughout everything, and then understanding the key perspectives and information that you need to be aware of. I want to walk you guys through exactly all that stuff, the price action that we're seeing, what you need to be doing so that you can actually progress, and hopefully if you pretty much avoid all these things, you can pretty much find that success. But overall, if you're new to my channel, check out the rest of my content and keep you guys updated on the day-to-day events, price action on Bitcoin, Ethereum, altcoins, how liquidity is shifting, and overall exactly how to position yourself. Today, I want to talk about exactly the 4 brutal truths about investing, why most people that are investing in crypto are going to fail, whether it's due to impatience, not understanding how liquidity moves, not understanding the 4-year cycle and pretty much how everything plays out, and also putting all your eggs in one basket and believing everything that you hear from everybody. So today I want to give you guys a rundown of exactly what we're seeing, how you can keep up with this information, why most people fail, and how you can avoid all that stuff. Let's jump straight into it. So guys, when I start my videos every single day, I start by showing you the price action around Bitcoin, the price action around Ethereum, the price action around altcoins with the total 3 chart, the price action with Bitcoin dominant, showing how liquidity is shifting from Bitcoin and risk assets, and then also USDT dominance, which is showing us how money is moving with stable coins as well, guys. This is one of the biggest, things that I want to pretty much point out on this video. Why most people are going to fail is not keeping up with liquidity and not understanding how liquidity moves. If you understand how money moves in the market, guys, you understand that there is a time and period for everything, a time in the sun for all assets. I mean, not all assets are created equal. That's why you need to be buying the right altcoins. And on this channel, I also share videos just like that. But right now is really key to understanding how liquidity moves with whenever Bitcoin runs up very significantly, whenever Ethereum starts to follow and pretty much see that price action, whenever liquidity pours back in to Ethereum and altcoins, and we see altcoins rip up, and we see Bitcoin dominance start to crash down, as well as USDT dominance, which is showing us that liquidity pours out of Bitcoin and USDT and stables back into Ethereum and altcoins. We saw this in previous cycles, guys. I made multiple videos on this because if you can understand how liquidity is shifting, and when Bitcoin peaks out and pretty much has the all-time high, that's whenever liquidity is slowly going to start pouring into Ethereum. And then once we see Ethereum rip up and see all those all-time highs, that's whenever we're going to see the total 3 chart shoot up exponentially like crazy. And you can see this if you go into charts, guys, and go and look more out as opposed to just the hourly chart. This is where you can get a little bit more information as to what exactly is going on within the price action, and whenever we saw huge rip ups before. So if I go ahead and look up the total 3 chart and show you guys exactly what we're currently seeing, I can go ahead and pull out of the hourly chart and show you guys the daily time frame, and from here we can see the gradual rip ups that we have been seeing for the altcoins markets through multiple cycles, guys. You can see if we go back into 2021, moving into 2022, you can see the huge gradual rip. You can see the huge rip in 2018. And this is where, guys, a lot of people are caught up in a macro lens, not understanding how liquidity shifts and whenever we see that huge giant rip up. So this is the first mistake most people make, not understanding how liquidity moves from the stock markets to Bitcoin to Ethereum to altcoins. Now, what is the next mistake? Most people do not understand how things play out. The 4-year cycle, guys, is something that a lot of people have been talking about is dead, and I kind of agree with it, with institutions jumping into it, big companies putting, Bitcoin on their balance sheets. It's really changing the landscape on how everyone's obtaining Bitcoin and where liquidity is shifting. But the 4-year cycle has pointed to us multiple times, guys, whenever we see the price action for these assets rip up, whenever Bitcoin shoots up and then we see liquidity move back into altcoins. If you study these charts, guys, you can understand when accumulation takes place, when the growth takes place, when the bubble, the huge rip up takes place, and then the crash afterwards, which I'm actually really interested with the crash after everything happens, guys, because I've never been documenting my journey whenever we saw a huge crash. So I'm going to also show you guys how to navigate navigate that. But the 4-year cycle, guys, is super, super key. Pretty much just seeing how, you know, everything correlates based off of the time frames that we see with these assets, and also with the macroeconomic events, with pretty much the presidencies and more things like the trade war that we're currently seeing. But this 4-year cycle, guys, is something that really shows us when altcoins get the huge rip up that they, you know, are bound to see whenever liquidity pours back into it. And most people are pretty much not aware of this. And as a result, whenever they start to see, you know, time take a little, pretty much liquidity not shooting back into altcoins, and it's taking a little bit more time than usual, everyone loses their, you know, heads, and everyone starts selling everything. Even Miles Dutcher says, looks like the 4-year Bitcoin cycle is dead. We're starting to see a significant deviation from the norm, new paradigm. And this is where a lot of people, guys, if you're listening to all different perspectives from different people, you're probably like, oh, is the 4-year cycle dead? When am I going to be seeing my, you know, huge rip up for my altcoins? I should just capitulate my bag. And this is why a lot of people start to fail, guys. Listening to multiple people, getting yourself confused, and just not understanding the basics of liquidity. So first off was liquidity. Next is the 4-year cycle, understanding what we've seen in previous price action. The next thing, guys, is patience. Nobody has patience in the market anymore. I mean, I don't think anybody has ever had patience, but only, you know, a larger amount of people before did have patience and understood how everything is shifting. Now, the crypto markets are filled with pretty much just babies that want huge rip-ups and payouts automatically within a matter of a week or a month of investing. Not understanding that we have been actually waiting for this for the past like 2 years. Crypto Michino talks about this, and I talked about this in the last few videos that I showed you guys, and I'm just going to run back through this chart. He says, this is such a monumental chart. The bull market on altcoins hasn't begun. The bear market on altcoins is about to be over. The biggest bull market ever on crypto is about to happen, as the expansion after such a long bear market is going to be bigger than before. And this is a chart from TechDev52, which explains the status of the business cycle and the status of the crypto markets, and pretty much the correlation and how everyone's saying the 4-year cycle is dead, but pretty much how it's taking place due to all the reallocations and different things that we're seeing in this cycle. It says that's why it's also evident that the upcoming 1 to 3 years are completely different overall. Result, many are going to be sidelined for being impatient. That's why you'll need to hold onto your positions and enjoy the upcoming period. And then he gives us this chart really showing us, guys, how this cycle is practically different than other cycles. But if you can understand how liquidity moves, the 4-year cycle and the perspective around that, and then you can gain a little bit of patience, then you can just wait for liquidity to pour back into the markets, guys. A lot of people are super bullish right now, and I can't stress it enough. I'm super bullish. That's why I'm dropping videos on the freaking daily to keep you guys updated with all this information, and then showing you guys stuff like this to give you more assurance as to what we're seeing, especially from crypto investors and analysts that have been here for multiple cycles. I believe these people. Moving forward into it, guys. Also, another post from Crypto Mission now. He says it's pretty standard to see this period of accumulation on the altcoins. Remember, we're still on the lowest point of the cycle for them. Every jump that it goes up, people will sell to take profit or get out of the market, pretty much due to impatience, guys, and not understanding how liquidity moves. Until sellers are gone, then they'll do a 20, 50, potentially 60 to 100x for altcoins, guys. And this is pretty much just summing up my point of being impatient. If you don't understand how liquidity moves, you don't understand the 4-year cycle, you're keeping updated with the wrong information, then you're going to capitulate your bag. You're going to sell out, and more than likely when everything starts to rip up, you're going to buy back in at a higher valuation, and you're not going to be seeing those crazy gains that a lot of people see. So impatience is one of the biggest things, guys, that causes people to just sell out of their bags and then buy back higher like stupid people. But overall, you're not stupid people, so make sure you're not making that mistake. Overall, though, guys, the last thing I want to pretty much talk about that I feel is one of the biggest mistakes is thinking that everybody knows what is actually going to happen. So I bring everything to the side for a second. Guys, no one truly knows what's going to happen. Everyone bases everything from the previous price action that we've seen from previous cycles, the macro and economic events that are happening, like the Trump trade war that's taking place. Also based off of Fed cuts and how liquidity is shifting. All of this stuff, guys, is super important. And once you understand that nobody really understands exactly what's going to be happening, the further you're going to be able to actually progress, because this is where you're going to start to focus actually on liquidity. You're going to focus on previous cycles and what we have seen, how it compares to currently what we're seeing right now. And it's also going to teach you to be patient, guys. This is super, super important. A lot of people want to make a lot of money with crypto, but one, they're impatient. Two, they're not keeping up with the right sources of information. And three, they also put a lot of their eggs in one basket, thinking that one person is going to give them everything that they need to progress. That's why on this channel, guys, I don't give you guys just my perspective. I give you guys a perspective from multiple crypto analysts, traders, charts that we've seen from previous cycles, how it pretty much compares to global liquidity, the M2 money supply, and multiple aspects around the markets and liquidity and everything in general, guys. Right now is a super important time. If you want to make crazy gains with altcoins, is the time to lock in, start looking for good positions, and overall be ready when liquidity shifts. But if you fall into any of these major mistakes, you are not going to make it, guys. And I just want to sum everything up back for you. So first biggest thing, guys, is understanding how liquidity is shifting. If you don't even understand how liquidity is shifting, you're buying assets just hoping and wondering that something is going to happen, and that is not the strongest thing to do. That's why a lot of people don't feel very assured with what they're doing. Two, not understanding how previous cycles have played out, the 4-year cycle, and how we have seen this before, and overall how, of course, this cycle is different, but it still correlates to the price action of previous cycles. The next biggest thing, 3, is impatience. Most people are impatient. They cannot invest in an asset for more than 2 months without capitulating their bag, jumping into another asset, and just wanting to get something out of it. This is dopamine people that are just, oversaturated in their brains from doing stupid things like playing on their phone and scrolling and doom scrolling, all these other different things, guys. You need to be patient, and the way you be patient is by focusing on other things like how liquidity is shifting previous cycles and teaching yourself that information. And then to sum it all up, guys, do not get everything from one source of information. On this channel, I pull multiple sources of information, multiple charts, multiple different things, because more minds, more perspectives is good, but you do not want to get caught up in all the fluff and all the bull crap that everyone is preaching. That's why I don't even really watch too many YouTube channels from crypto investors and Coles and all that. I just keep up with the price action, the macroeconomic events, and exactly what's happening on the day-to-day and how crypto investors and analysts feel. And then I pour it all into a video so you guys can understand this stuff and pretty much progress with it. This is where, guys, I want you to start locking in. I want you to start taking your own, crypto investments and everything that you do into your own hands and take some ownership. You can start to progress really, really far in the crypto markets, but you got to start understanding all of this stuff. And if you fall into any of these brutal mistakes, you are going to fail when it comes to investing in crypto investing in general. So overall, guys, if you're new to my channel, go ahead and check out the rest of my content. I keep you guys updated with the day-to-day events, price action around Bitcoin, Ethereum, altcoins, how liquidity is shifting, and exactly what you need to be aware of so that you can make those crazy gains. A lot of people make a lot of mistakes, guys, and I just wanted to give you guys the top 4 that I think a lot of people make and why most people are not going to make it in this 2025 crypto bull cycle. Take what I say with a grain of salt, guys. I like to get my perspective, and I also want to hear everyone's perspective. Why do you think people fell? What are the brutal truths to investing that you think I missed out on that most people, fall into? What are the mistakes that you've fallen into, and what do you think is something that everyone can take so that they can keep on progressing and not make these mistakes? Overall, guys, drop me a comment, like, subscribe. I'd love to hear everyone's perspective. Love to hear what y'all think of my content. If you guys have any questions or suggestions for anything in the future, drop it down below. I do get to all my comments. It's been taking me some time. I appreciate all the support, guys. You have been showing me a lot of different support from a lot of the same individuals, which I really do appreciate. But we're building a bigger following, a bigger base, which is super key, guys. I'm getting super close to being monetized, so please like, comment, and share the channel as well with anyone that is trying to progress. I'm pretty much someone that's completely different in the crypto markets, not like all these Coles and influencers in my skyline view with my Porsche and all these other different things. Sooner or later, we're going to be there, but it's all a matter of time. So stay tuned, keep up to date with all this stuff, and do not fall into those traps. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.